Hold on. All right, I'm ready.
Hello, friends. Welcome to User Friendly, the tech show that talks about tech news, our favorite stuff on the web, and
all things
geek. Gosh, I can never just smoothly do that. My name is Roberto Hoyos, and I am the owner of a company called Throwboy, and I'm here with my friend.
I'm here with Elijah, your perfect stranger to Roberto's course in Larry. I failed. I'm sorry. That was embarrassing. And you might know me from the Cultcast, a little audio podcast that we talk about all things Apple.
Mm-hmm.
And
now we're so happy we do the Dance of Joy.
Wow, I forgot about that. I forgot about all his great Balkyisms he would say.
I was laughing so hard when
I thought of you,
that.
when I
he called out
joke.
Balky Bartakamus on Cultcast. Classic,
Crickets.
Super funny.
Crickets.
They don't get, how old are they? They never get your 80s jokes.
You know the funny thing is, Buster really is actually not even that younger than me. I think Alex is pretty young. Alex might be 25. Mm-hmm. Christina Bonington, I believe, is probably 25, 26. Mm-hmm. But Buster, I think he's 28 or 29. So, I mean, she was like, I remember when I made that joke, if you guys haven't seen it, Christina Bonington was like, were you alive in 1987? And I was like, well, I was really young, but yeah, I was alive.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Buster was too, but that show was on for years. I mean,
that show was on
reruns.
In the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I probably didn't see it when it was originally aired.
It seems weird because I don't know. Maybe I just gravitate towards a lot of friends that know a lot of these old shows that I know because I make stupid references like what you just did, and that's probably why we get along because we really do get the same old random. Show
I can make a Dutch joke.
Yeah, and I'm like,
and I'm pretty sure you're gonna get it.
but there's still a kind of a segment of people that I know who are in their 20s. That also get old Nintendo humor and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, how do you know that? But I don't know. Maybe it's gotten more mixed into the culture.
Or maybe the show Workaholics. You've seen it, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, they make Hulk Hogan jokes.
Yeah, you're right.
And those guys, there's no way they're older than 25.
You don't think so?
No, I think they might even be younger than that. I think Adam DeMamp is, I think he's 24. Okay. At least when they started the show, I know he was under 25. Wow. Because when I first started getting into that show, which, by the way, that Workaholics is hilarious.
I got to get back into it, because I haven't seen season 3.
I haven't seen season 3 either. Did you know, I think they released season 2 in 2 parts. So they did another set of episodes.
So
There's
missed a lot,
23
then.
Episodes in season 2.
I missed a bunch then.
Anyway, those guys make 80s, 90s references all the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how do these guys know this stuff? They're way too young to actually have lived through this. I'm barely old enough to have lived through that.
Yeah, it's weird though. Because I was born in '82 and you were born in '80, right? Mm-hmm. And it's there was reruns happening on TV when our childhood, and the reruns were what's that one? Come on, knock on our door. What's that?
Three's Company?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, that is Three's Company.
And MASH was on when we were little kids.
Yeah.
And it's those are actually from the 70s,
Yeah, right.
But they just had, it was the new era of reruns. Reruns were just
and TV was way different.
Yeah, it was way more sparse, so they just had to fill up stuff.
Yeah.
So we kind of grew up on Thundercats and all that kind of stuff, but we also grew up on some old 70s stuff that we didn't really watch,
Yeah,
but it's still it's still kind of in our minds in some way.
Yeah, MASH was on all the time.
It was. I always hated it too.
I hated it too. I thought it was depressing.
Yeah.
I never understood what it was about.
Me too. Did you know that it's a comedy? I didn't even know that till I was older. But they added laugh track in the States, but normally it didn't have the laugh track because people didn't know when to laugh.
Most depressing show ever without that. Yeah, people were not laughing because they didn't realize it was a comedy.
What's funnier than war?
Yeah, that guy's leg is gone. Oh, laugh track. Anyway, good show planned for you guys. Planned for all of us today.
Yeah, we've been gone.
We have so much stuff to talk about. So I was kind of hoping we were going to talk about Xbox, PlayStation. We're going to have to save that conversation for another time.
It's going to be an ongoing one. So we don't have
to
worry about
it. There's just so much internet
because
stuff
E3 just happened. Have you ever been to E3, man?
No, E3's press only.
I've been there.
Have you? How did you get in?
So when I worked at Apple, that qualifies you for working at a tech company. So
that's all you have to do to is it kind of like CES where they're like, are you a programmer? You can get in, no verification whatsoever.
Back then it was, but then I heard they cracked down.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe you could be like, I have a podcast that talks about tech.
I bet you I could get in on that.
So anyway, I went like years ago, but anyway, I just was wondering if you'd ever been on.
No, I haven't. I would love to go, but I kind of feel like Penny Arcade Expo, which is in Seattle, is kind of like the new.
It's way better.
Well, it's meant for fans, right, and not just press.
It's more fun. Yeah, it's meant for fans. That's the cool thing about it. And yeah, I don't know. E3 is cool just because that's where they debut things,
Yep.
But it's still just a zoo, like you have to wait in line for like ever to see like a fake console that's not even running,
It's just a plastic shell. There's nothing even in it.
Anyway.
Hey, I just want to say real fast. It looks like we had some problems with the audio last week. I had some people tweet me and excuse me, we're drinking beers, brewskis, asked me where the audio version of the podcast was. So it looks like something got corrupted with our server. If that happens again, assuming that you can hear this now, would you tweet one of us and let us know? Because we generally have no idea that happens.
Yeah.
And so when you let us know, we can fix it. The video should never have any problems.
Yeah.
That one's pretty problem free. But the audio every once in a while just it gets grouchy, and I got to go in there, kick some A. Get things going again.
Kick the server.
I literally go in my closet and I kick the server. Some sparks come out, and then it starts working again.
I can't believe there's people out there that host like their whole show or whatever like in their own basement server.
Dude, do you know the website plentyoffish.com?
Yeah.
One of the most popular dating websites on the internet was run off one guy's server in his closet. There's actually read this huge story. I don't know if it is still, but this guy is a developer. He created this dating website called Plenty of Fish. And he wrote his code so incredibly efficiently that he was getting like millions of hits on this website, and it was all able to run out of one server in his home. And one of his biggest competitors was like Match.com, but they couldn't match like the efficiency of his code.
Yeah.
So this guy like had built this software that was making him like millions of dollars. Like he would post pictures of him holding like Google AdSense checks for like one of them was like $1 million. Because this program was just running in the background.
That's pretty
And he's
amazing.
like, every once in a while, I would just go in and fix some things.
Isn't that
right?
the dream, right? You just put up something. And
just coast.
Just coast.
Yeah.
Is that your friend's idea?
Right. We just gotta build it up and coast, man. We just gotta coast. That was his dream, and this guy did it. He made the dream a reality. And then there's like Match.com, which has all these servers and. We're spending millions of dollars on advertising, and this guy is just like,
yeah.
Because his website was free to use, like you didn't have to charge anything for it.
And he just has Google Ads.
He just used Google AdSense, and then after a while,
amazing.
like once his traffic got high enough, he would start actually like doing like ad campaigns.
Yeah.
Like he'd do like a Budweiser campaign or something, and he would just put the ad up.
I bet
Ching.
you have a very like wide range of stuff you can put on a dating site, like as far as ads. You know what I mean? Just like middle America, like Budweiser.
Budweiser.
You know what I mean? Like, because that's the kind of clientele you
movies
probably be dealing with.
Totally. That would be great. It's so much different than like an Apple themed something.
I would just. I mean, I'm not technical at all, so that's why I'm like, I want someone else to handle that, like server stuff. But some people do that, like. Angry Video Game Nerd? Mm-hmm. He has that. Like, he runs all of his stuff. Cinemassacre.com is just in his basement, like, running it. And I'm like, why do you do that? Like, he's like, oh, sorry, we had, like, a blackout. That's why the site was down for a while. And I'm like, why?
It's so cheap now to have, like
you could just have, like, a Squarespace or something. I don't know.
You could have Squarespace.com/cultcast. You could have... so many other web hosts out there, and they're so cheap, and they're like 100% reliable. You never have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
And then you let them handle all the back end stuff. Any hooskies.
And you just coast.
And then you just coast, which is the dream. Just create an app, coast. That's the formula right there.
So we are a little behind because last show we were one day before WWDC.
Exactly. We recorded one day before, so...
So everybody's heard all these things, but we're going to just go through them again.
We're going to talk about Yeah, WWDC, just a little bit.
Yeah.
I just want to hear your reactions to it. Everyone's probably heard it. If you listen to the Cultcast, you've heard mine.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. I'm not sure how much I talked with Alex and Buster.
Yeah.
But what do you think? So,
okay, so
overall,
recap. WWDC, they announced iOS 7 and demoed it, showed off everything. They demoed and showed off macOS 10 Mavericks, which is the new name for macOS 10. What is it, 10.9?
10.9.
And they released new MacBook Airs with really long battery life, 12 hours and 9 hours.
Updated MacBook Airs.
There you go, yeah.
Oh, you forgot
iTunes Radio.
iTunes Radio is a real thing?
And
you're forgetting the big dog.
I kind of want to see that. And Mac Pro.
I was like, you can't forget about the Mac Pro.
I was going to try to make a joke about the last thing, but no. Mac Pro. So yeah, really, really action-packed. I watched it live. I was like half awake in my bed watching it on my phone. Really, some pretty exciting things happened throughout that keynote. I liked it. I liked the stage presence of a lot of those guys. I think that's the kind of consensus. Everybody was like, really like, this is a new Apple, like this new energy that Apple has, where they're kind of like doing this. It's post Steve Jobs. You know, Steve Jobs used to be like the guy throughout the entire keynote, right?
Yeah.
Demoing, announcing everything.
Right.
And now we have like this kind of team of people that all kind of have like a good stage presence and show off the software and everything like that. So anyway, let's see. What should I start with?
iOS 7.
Okay, iOS 7. Bring it up for me real quick because I just brought it up on my computer yesterday. And just go to Apple is fine. And right here. I think it looks awesome. Actually.
You do?
Yeah. I think it's going to be like... I think it's one of those things that people are going to be enchanted by when they pick up their phone and they see this new software. I think they really did a tremendous job with this new UI. And just the overall look, I really, really like it. I think this is the future. I should
probably film this part. Huh?
Okay, sure, yeah.
Just for people, I'm sure you guys have probably seen it. But, since we're talking about
Good idea, though. That's responsible.
I'll be the responsible one. Let's just bring up my camera. Hopefully I run out of space.
I think that this style of design has been creeping up in tech and in just the design world for maybe a year or two. As far as I know, I don't really consider myself a designer, but so I think it was a smart move for Apple to move this way to this new style, this new kind of like I don't know what you would call this style. People call it flat design. I don't know. It sort of like reminds me of like Swiss design in some ways.
I can see that.
And I like it though. I think it fits Apple. I think that they've definitely, now with the maturity of touch of touch devices and of smartphones, we have a lot of things that we can kind of see out there, and they kind of group together all kind of the good things and the things that would work for Apple. You know what I mean? Like I think that they kind of like, are doing almost like Windows 8 better than Windows 8. They're doing Android better than Android. Like they're kind of like...
Oh, there's an interesting perspective, yeah.
They're pulling together like things that kind of exist already, but... And if you have an argument about that, I mean, computers have been doing that for ages, like Apple's been borrowing things from Windows and, for ages. Like there's keynote evidence of this kind of stuff where they're like, hey, Microsoft was doing this like fast user switching and now we're going to do it, but we're going to do it our own way. And,
I mean, Steve Jobs not Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs even quoted, great art or good artists borrow, great artists steal. I don't think that he ever had a problem with that.
Yeah, so I don't care about like, oh, it's not original. They already had that. I don't care. It's like, it's the way it works to me, right? But I do like the design. And I know a lot of people are like, it's pretty split. Some people really like it. Some people really don't like it. But I think this was a smart move for them because I think it's almost in the way that macOS 10, when macOS 10 came out, and I've seen this keynote a lot because I'm a huge nerd. When they did that huge 180 from macOS 9 design to macOS 10 design, that was like a huge deal. Like they wanted people to be able, like Steve Jobs said this, he's like, we want people to walk up to the computer who've never seen a Mac before and be enchanted by this new software that we have. and then also provide like functionality and ease of use to the people that already know the Mac. And I think that's what they're doing with this new OS. I really think that it's going to make people go like, wow, that's Apple. That's really cool looking, you know? We've already seen the iPhone to death. The iPhone's the most popular freaking phone. Like, we've seen it a million times. Like, it makes it instantly, this UI instantly look old hat, you know? I think I think they did a great job. I think we'll probably see revisions because...
we definitely will.
I think that you pointed out this is like we're talking about 1.0 now.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's a great point that a lot of people are overlooking. They're thinking like, nope, shut up, it's already baked, no, it's out the door. And I'm like, no, it's like 1.0. They're going to have to start rethinking things again, you know? But I think it's going to be exciting. We're going to see new apps like start to rethink the UI. We're going to have new a whole new look. Every app's going to have to redesign their icons, you know, just for starters, but also the UI inside. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm not going to download the beta because I don't do that. Like I don't want to. First of all, I don't want to cripple my current only phone, and basically my computer right now.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not a beta tester. Like, so the people out there griping about how it doesn't work right now, you put it on your fucking phone, dude. Like,
are there people griping that doesn't work?
There's people that
it's a beta. It is a beta. That they say that when you install it.
Of course, there's people griping about it, dude, because they want to be first in line. They want to try it, and then they want to tweet about how much it sucks. But I doubt they're sending in any feedback to Apple. When you beta test, does it auto send bad feedback to Apple?
I don't know.
I hope it does, because if you're just downloading because you want to putz around, like, I think that there should be some sort of thing where it's like sending feedback back to Apple.
There might be. I mean, you have to have a developer account to even install this.
You do, but I mean, how many of our friends have friends that are developers?
Yeah, you can get it easily. But I mean, I guess my point is you can't just get it without going a little bit out of your way.
Yeah, I just think like, okay, if you have it and you want to mess with it, fine. But if you have it and you want to mess with it and you want to talk shit about it, it's like you're not even providing Apple any feedback at that point.
Right.
You know? Like, if you have a problem with something, you can send Apple, a message for what you think you should change in it. You know, they've done that throughout the entire course of their like operating system. You know.
Yeah.
So that's just my annoyance. Like when people do that kind of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, you know.
So what do you think?
I mean, I'm on the fence. I really like some of the design changes. I really don't like some of them. I'm waiting to kind of have it be done.
Me too.
Before I make any final calls. There's a lot of features that they've added that I really like. I like the instant app switching. I think it looks really good. I think iTunes Radio looks fantastic. The new control center is great, and it finally gives you a really easy way to control a lot of the basic features on your phone, like your calendar, your camera, even adds a flashlight. You can turn Bluetooth and wireless on very easily.
Dude, I think people kind of overlook how tremendous this control center thing is. Like, this is fantastic. This changes things because Bluetooth has been trying to get out there with like devices, you know, like the Jambox and stuff like that. But it still makes it very techy when you have to go into settings and find the stupid thing and then pair it. Yeah. One swipe, turn on Bluetooth, and then you have your Jambox working. Like, mom can do that, dad can do that. That's fucking great. It makes it a lot more accessible. You know? That's fantastic. It shouldn't be so hidden. It shouldn't be a hidden feature. Same thing with all the other ones. But, like, Bluetooth, I don't know. I think that one's a big deal. Because
I do, too. Especially as somebody who uses it often. I mean, if you have a lot of Bluetooth devices, as I do, a lot of them, when you turn them on, will automatically pair.
Yeah.
And the only way you can prevent that I've found is to turn Bluetooth off. So you got to dive into the menu, turn it off.
And you can't even go, Siri, turn off Bluetooth. You can't do that at this point.
I never even thought to try that.
You could do that probably in the new OS.
It'd probably end up searching the internet for Bluetooth.
For a blue grill.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Erfan. Do you want me to look?
Do you want me to find the nearest dentist? No.
No. Turn off Bluetooth. I'm sorry, Erfan. I don't understand.
I open photo booth.
Yeah, photo booth opens. I even tried speaking slowly to Siri. Yeah. I think it was last night to do something.
I think you have it set to the Spanish version.
I was like, Siri, remind me to do such and such at this time, and it cut me off, first of all. And then it was like, I'm going to remind you to do something at
Oh yeah.
That was a sentence.
I've
And then
had
it's
that.
like, what time would you like me to do that at? I'm like, I was trying to tell you that when you freaking cut me off.
Yeah.
And I was specifically trying to talk slowly and intelligibly so that
Yeah.
Siri would understand what I'm saying, because I get sometimes I talk too fast. Still did not work.
Yeah, I have high hopes for that technology.
Eventually, I do too.
It's very, very early days. But
yeah,
what else, man?
New MacBook Airs.
Okay.
Huge battery life. I know you're probably gonna buy one, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm looking at the 11-inch. At first I was talking about 13, but I don't know, something about 11. I think I might be cool with. Maybe eventually down the line I'll get a second display. Mm-hmm. Or maybe I'll just get an Apple TV and do a second display with my TV.
Yeah, you could do that. That would be awesome.
So yeah, that's really cool about macOS 10. They have that feature now. Like very awesome dual display features now, multiple display features. But yeah, I like the MacBook Air. I guess the smaller one wouldn't get 12 hours of battery life, but
no, I think it went from
9 hours.
5 to 9. Yeah.
But still, I need a new computer, and I was hoping they would put out a new MacBook. I also wanted to see a Pro. I think we both wanted to see Pros.
I did too, and I've been reading rumors on why they didn't update it. I think it's very weird that they didn't update it.
Yeah.
It seems very strange. I mean, because now, especially for like technology savvy people, they know these new Haswell Intel chips are coming out.
Yeah.
Which means it's only a matter of time before the MacBook Pro gets updated with these new chips, because the battery life is going to be so drastically different.
And as we know, all's well that has well.
That's right. I'm going to start saying that. And then I'll do like a little cheers, and you're like, what the hell are you talking about? I'll be like, Huh? I'm like, what? Well, so I read that the reason Apple didn't announce the MacBook Pros is because there is a supply constraint on the screens. They wouldn't have been able to be ready by close enough to the date of WWDC, and they didn't want people to stop buying the current generation in waiting for the new generation, because I'm sure once they announce new computers, current sales probably totally stop.
Right. Yeah.
So they might announce them at a later date, or what could happen, I can definitely see this happening, is they're gonna wait till the end of the summer, and they're gonna release the MacBook Pros along with OS 10 Mavericks.
That could happen. So that's the other thing, man, is like, I do want a new computer, but I also kind of want a new computer with Mavericks like on it, you know.
But when you buy it, they're gonna give you that for free.
I mean, are they though?
I think so. They did that.
It's several months
last
away.
year.
It's like in the fall.
Well, you know what's interesting? Let's say they don't give it to you for free and they charge you for it.
Yeah.
I don't think they announced a price.
Oh yeah, they didn't.
And I think that's very strange.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because normally they say
the price like
the price is only $30, right? Because we want everyone to have it.
That's the price I have in my mind, right? I'm like, well, I guess I'll spend the extra 30 in the fall.
I bet you it will still be that.
Fall, dude. Like it's June, July, August, September. I'll get the new OS in 4 months.
Yeah, but
that sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. But I mean, you have been living without a computer for so long.
Yeah, I know.
Who cares? It's going to be such a huge improvement in your life.
I know.
And all you have to do is just upgrade when it comes out.
Yeah.
Even if they charged you $30 for it, I think it would still be worth it. But I don't think they will. I think they'll give it to you for free. It doesn't make any sense to sell you.
When the hell have they done that?
They did that. I think they did that on the last generation when the new when Snow Leopard came out. And then also, I think it was when Lion came out, and also when Snow Leopard came out, they gave people free upgrades.
Yeah, but it was like if you bought it within like 30 days or something, right? It wasn't like if
I
you
don't
bought a
know
new
what the
computer.
time limit was. Well, once they had announced the new operating system, I think at that point, I could be wrong on the dates. They were like, if you buy it, you're going to get a free upgrade. Because
was it free?
I'm almost positive it was free. Yeah, I'm gonna search right now.
I don't know about that, dude. I used to work at Apple, and yeah, they had like some sort of thing. Like if you bought it within this certain window, you would get a discount. I don't remember it being free though.
Maybe well, the OS 10 Mavericks, I'm very new, blah blah blah.
No one knows.
Oh, this is just asking about the price.
Yeah, people don't know yet. I don't know. It's not like a deal breaker. It's just kind of annoying, you know what I mean? Because it would have been nice that they had the OS to go along with their new computers. But whatever.
It is really weird they haven't announced the price.
What do you
Very
think
strange.
What do you think of the new naming scheme?
It's okay. I really liked the cat naming scheme.
I guess it's getting kind of old if you think about it, though, right?
The cat one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, I was kind of joking on Cultcast. They could have named it something that had to do with, like, animal creatures.
Yeah.
And I actually think that would have been cool. I mean, if they would have chosen, like, a line of creatures that they could have gone on with for a while and just changed.
I guess anything's better than freaking pastries and sweets.
Oh, gosh. He's talking about the Google naming scheme. Jelly bean.
Gingerbread.
Ice cream sandwich. Terrible names. Just so incredibly uncool. I mean, they're uncool.
Yeah.
They're really uncool. I don't care if you disagree. They're uncool.
Yeah, no,
like, if
I
you're
agree.
naming them on foods that only chubby people eat, I just don't like it. You know, I don't understand why they do that.
Yeah, man.
I mean, at least the OS cats were like fierce.
Yeah.
They always were like on the prowl. They're ready to kill.
That was
and then
cool.
You're like OS Twinkie Muffin.
It's good though that they actually were like, this is setting up our operating system for the next 10 years. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people, especially developers, were like, oh snap, okay, cool. We're not worried about the life of OS 10 anymore. Like some people were, right? Some people were worried, like, are they just gonna be like, this is not really our main focus anymore, and we're just going to be doing iOS, you know? So,
Oh, interesting.
I think it was-
I've never heard that.
really?
No.
I've heard people kind of
never
just
worried
like
them.
worried about, you know, if they're post PC, if that's like their main, like if that's their North Star, you know, is like the post PC world, what the hell's going to happen to the mouse cursor and the computer, you know, like the PC world, right?
Oh gosh, that would be awful.
So, yeah, that's-
that would be that's now you're talking Windows strategy.
Yeah, we're talking like the apocalypse.
I don't think that Apple would. I certainly hope they wouldn't go that direction.
I think some a great thing about Mavericks is like they basically like squashed every kind of annoyance that their previous operating system had. Do you agree? Like
Can you give me some examples?
well, like okay, little things like UI and the calendar,
yeah.
to big things like dual or multiple displays that were
That was
you know
really
what I mean?
cool, right?
Like all these little things like and Apple TV operating like a fully functional display.
Yeah, that was actually a big feature.
Because you know
right.
that could do that, right?
Right.
Because you can even do it with your phone. Like you can send your phone's video to your Apple TV, and it's like if that can happen, why couldn't you just do the monitor the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all these kind of like little things like that, I think that they did a good job of like adding on little features to or squashing, you know, annoyances, and Maps is pretty cool.
Maps is really cool. This is one of my favorite features. So Maps is coming to Mavericks. It's coming to your computer. So Apple's releasing their own Maps app. They needed this because they obviously have to compete with Google. But the really cool part is, and this is such a big problem, I don't know how it was never solved till now, is, you know, you search for a map on your computer and then you're ready to go. Well, of course, now you need that map on your phone because that's what you're going to be using to navigate, right? So with the new Maps app, you can just send it to your device and then it pops up a notification on your phone when you get to your car. You just swipe it and instantly the map comes up with the directions and everything.
That's rad.
Really awesome.
I think
feature.
the only thing, because I'm sure Google has that, and somebody's like, Google has that. Somebody's saying that right now.
Google had that for like 2 years.
Yeah. The only thing that is still kind of a bummer that Apple will never, well, maybe some year later, they don't have Street View anymore, and that's just a little bit annoying because it's like they have to pimp flyover, which is 100% useless, you know.
I have never once used it.
So like that
I don't know what its utility is.
Yeah, so they have to be like, oh, we have these beautiful flyover images. It's like no one ever uses that, dude. It's totally useless, you know. It's just it shows like a bird's eye view of, it's like a 2.5D. I don't know, that's dumb.
Oh, they have some new iOS stuff too.
But anyway, I'm
Cool.
excited about it. I think that they refined it. They did a good job of refining it, and didn't add a bunch of wacky, weird things to it.
No, it seems like everything they added is pretty useful.
Okay, looks like they still have cover flow in the Finder.
I never understood why anyone wanted to use
because
cover
Steve
flow.
Jobs loved it, dude.
Yeah, cover flow needs to just go away.
Yeah.
It's totally worthless. I mean, I'm sure there's like 2 people out there who are adamantly opposed to getting rid of cover flow because they actually use it.
Yeah,
But I just find it to be totally worthless. It's just not useful.
No.
Especially because a lot of things that you use, especially for like music, like you may not have the album art.
Yeah.
In Apple's perfect world, in their
Everyone
utopian Apple
buys their
society
stuff.
where everything's bought from iTunes,
Yeah.
that works probably really well. But that's just not the world we live in. So unfortunately, it doesn't end up being that useful. Okay, let's talk about the Mac Pro for just a moment.
Yeah.
And then move on because
Okay.
we have a lot of other stuff to talk about.
I agree.
Your thoughts on it?
This was rad. I was pretty stoked when I saw it because I was like, it was like they haven't revised this design in ages.
I think it's been 10 years.
Yeah, like this design was designed because the G5 processor was too hot and they needed to create like 5 different thermal cores where air could flow through it. Mm-hmm. And they couldn't even get that completely right. So they ended up going with a liquid cool design after that for the G5 because the G5 ran so hot.
Jeez.
And it was designed like gigantic because of the fact that it was trying to put air through the damn thing.
And the whole thing's aluminum, right?
Right? And so it has that
cool
cheese
it.
grater design. So that thing hadn't been like revisited in forever, at least to the public, right? Because I mean, I'm sure they've been toying with it forever. So and then now we're in this era where like everything is external expandable, and that's why their computers are going to completely sealed. It really, really spoke to me in terms of Apple's vision because there's an old Macintosh ad where it was like, this is how you expand your computer, and it was like plug it into like something else. And like they freaking love that. They want everything to just be like one box, and they want all your expandability
very modular.
to be modular. Yeah. And so I was like, they got exactly what they wanted with this. And I mean, the idea of having like this badass
It's like a power
super
tube.
fast thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you just plug your monitor and you plug all your crap in. That's pretty dope if you're like what's it called, like a hardcore, who knows, designer, video editor, whatever. That's pretty cool. I have absolutely no use for it, right?
I don't think most people
And
do.
I think most people don't either.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I haven't had a Power Mac, or see how long it was. I had the last time.
Last one, yeah, I
was
don't
a
know if
Power
it's called
Mac,
Power Mac.
right? So I haven't had a tower of an Apple tower since a Power Mac G4, and then I moved pretty much to mobile, or iMac then mobile. But I think it was really cool that they were like, look, we're not abandoning the how come I can't think of, like, the power user? There you go.
Yeah.
We're not abandoning the power user. We have this box that's going to do everything you need it to do, but it's going to be expandable with Thunderbolt and with USB or whatever, right? And he said FireWire, but I'm pretty sure it's Thunderbolt.
It's gonna be Thunderbolt 2.
So Thunderbolt 2.
I don't think FireWire is included on it.
It's not.
You could do FireWire via an adapter.
Exactly. It's just in the keynote he accidentally said FireWire.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. So some people were
He was
confused
probably
about
flogged
that.
and
He was just like riding high off him saying,
Yeah.
not innovating my ass.
Yeah, Phil Schiller.
So anyway, I thought it was really cool. And who cares what the design looks like? If you're griping about like, I don't like the design, it looks like a trash can or whatever. If you have a tower, when's the last time you pulled it out and were like checking it out? You just put it down there and
I think Apple has notoriety for creating things that are always good looking. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it is
I think
good
it looks
looking.
awesome.
I mean, there are always going to be people who don't like the way something looks. I like the way the new Xbox One looks.
Yeah.
And the PlayStation, for that matter. And there are some people who are like, it looks really ugly. It's rhomboid or rhombus or whatever. And I'm just like,
yeah.
no matter what you do, there's going to be someone who doesn't like it.
Sure.
So I think it looks like Wall-E's mistress, like that. Remember that
Oh, yeah.
that white thing in Wall-E?
Yeah.
Except it's black. It looks super sexy, and when you turn it around,
Yeah,
how the back lights up
Yeah.
so that you can see peripheral stuff.
That's rad.
That's stuff that Apple thinks of, right?
Yeah.
There's just no other company that does that stuff.
I just think it's really cool that like Apple is putting out like it felt like maybe they're not going to put out another pro user thing, right?
We were all wondering, yeah.
And then they put out this new thing and we're like, nope, we're gonna keep you guys, satisfied for years to come. And that's cool, especially in the age where Apple is now a consumer brand and everybody has an iPhone and an iPad,
right?
And now they're like, no, we're still speaking to you guys. Like that's dope,
I wonder how much this thing's gonna cost.
It's gonna be ridiculous.
It's gonna be ridiculously expensive. I mean, it has a solid state drives in it, and they're probably built in. My guess is that this thing is gonna be like an appliance, just like the iPad, just like the iPhone, where everything is how you get it when you buy it is how it's gonna stay. There's no upgrading it or anything. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. I would think you're probably right.
So you're gonna have to get one with solid state storage in it, and my guess is they're gonna have just enough to like run your apps and everything. And then everything else they're gonna expect you to get like a Thunderbolt 2 RAID array or something like that. But flash storage is really expensive. These things are not gonna be cheap, especially with two AMD graphics chips on board. That wouldn't surprise me if this thing was like $4,000, $5,000.
Would it surprise you if these Mac Pros are going to be maybe the last of the power user desktop computers? Like if we're moving so far away from that, where everything...
No, I don't foresee that happening.
Okay.
Because you could say that we're becoming like a post-PC...
Apple-wise, not like the computer industry.
I don't think so. There's a lot of people... As long as Apple's putting out Final Cut Pro X, as long as they're putting out Aperture...
Yeah.
As long as they're putting out Logic, I mean, there's applications that benefit from having a really powerful machine, and there are people who are going to need them in professional scenarios.
Yeah.
I don't think Apple is going to get rid of a Mac Pro as long as those kinds of applications exist and are aimed at professionals, because professionals need professional machines. I don't think that they are going to be able to just operate, especially as a video person, on a MacBook or an iMac. Yeah. Could you do it? Probably. But sometimes, time is money in a lot of these businesses, and you need something that's incredibly fast because it saves you money.
I wonder how many, if any, like video editing businesses just bought a bunch of new iMacs. Since that was like probably going to fill the need for a lot of things, and they weren't updating their Power Mac in forever.
I'm sure a lot probably did. Yeah.
Maybe there was a lot of people that were just like, let's go see if we can do everything with these new iMacs.
Well, especially because they hadn't updated the Mac Pros in so long.
That's what I mean, yeah.
That they were just like, the iMacs were probably powerful enough.
Right.
But now that they have something that's exponentially faster.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just talk about a scenario like if you're exporting a video and you're getting paid, per project. If you have something that can export in an hour as opposed to something that takes 4, the Mac Pro makes up for itself pretty fast in cost, because in a year's time, you're going to save so much time, and that computer is going to be available to do other things that are making you money.
Yeah, that's very true. Something about having like a computer that can just like chug away.
Oh, dude, just like steam spraying out the top.
I love that. I love when I leave the house and I make my computer do something for me.
Me too.
As long as it doesn't effing crash. Because
my computer's
Final Cut freaking Pro, like when you try to export right to YouTube, no.
Yeah, I stopped even trying to do that. Yeah, that doesn't even work for me anymore.
Okay.
Anyway, there's our WWDC rundown. It was an exciting week to be an Apple fan for sure. Mm-hmm. We've been waiting for new Apple news for a long time. Let's just hope we get new MacBook Pros soon, because this freaking thing, I love it, but it has more dents in it than like a rally car, man. I mean, there's just dents everywhere. I've dropped it a couple times. I don't even know how I got this dent in it. The rubber feet on the bottom are falling off, which actually kind of makes me mad that Apple would build something that would fall apart. But in any case, I'm ready for a new computer.
All right. So,
shall we talk about our final big story of the
Which one do you want to go to?
Let's do our Netflix review.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, not this one yet.
That's cool.
So we have a Netflix review, believe it or not.
We do.
I don't think this one will take us a long time to talk about, but we announced it last week. It's called That Guy Who Was in That Thing, which I thought was an absolutely horrid title until I watched it, and I was like, that's the perfect title for this movie. It's because you don't realize it's something that you actually say until you see it.
Totally. Like when I was watching it, excuse me, I was like, dude, I know that guy, but I don't know why, you know? But anyway, you should set it up.
Oh, so sorry, let's just skip this.
That's okay.
Because we're going to spend a ton of time on this.
Yeah.
That guy that was in that thing is documentary. By the way, if you're joining us for the first time, our Netflix review is where we announce a movie available on Netflix Instant that you can watch with us the week before we actually talk about it. So hopefully you did that. It's about actors in Hollywood who maybe are definitely not the most well-known actors. And if you saw them on the street, you'd probably recognize them. Then you'd be like, hey, there's that guy who was in that thing. Like, you wouldn't know their name. You wouldn't know what movies they've been in, which is so true. And it kind of documents their stories about what it's like to be, I don't want to call them B-level actors in Hollywood because some of them are not B-level. They're not Tom Cruise type characters.
Yeah.
But they're like working actors. They might be in, like might have color parts in movies. They're probably in a show that you might watch. The show might even be popular. And I think one of the things I was really surprised about when I started watching this is I was expecting to see actors I've never seen before. Mm-hmm. I thought this was going to be a documentary about like actors who are trying to make it in Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
And that is not at all what this is about. This is like actors who have been working in Hollywood for 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, who you definitely have seen.
Who you have definitely seen in movies. I mean, one of the guys was in Shawshank Redemption. Mm-hmm. He was the guy who kept trying to rape Andy Dufresne.
I haven't seen that movie, actually. I know. I know.
I'm speechless. You just Back to the Future 2'd me, dude.
Sorry, yeah.
You just Alex Albrecht momented me. Remember that TRS?
No.
Where they were talking about Back to the Future Part 2, and he's like, I've never seen it. And him and Jeff and Dan both go... like the whole show just stopped because they were so flabbergasted.
So wait, Alex had never seen it?
He's never seen it. He's only seen the first one.
What?
Yeah. So I just had that moment with you.
That's like my favorite one.
Wow. So anyway.
I haven't seen a lot of actually really popular movies. Like, I haven't seen Pulp Fiction.
Wow, that is surprising.
I haven't seen Kill Bill. I haven't seen...
Those are both great movies.
What's that other one? Reservoir Dogs.
I have only seen parts of Reservoir Dogs. I hated it.
There's a lot of like well-known movies that I just never got around to seeing. But anyway.
That's surprising because you watch movies.
I do.
Wow.
I do.
We should review those. So, anyway, back to my original point. Well-known actors that you would recognize. Mm-hmm. And it kind of documents, what it's like to be a working actor in Hollywood. And by working, I mean like they're not hyper famous like, John Travolta.
And they don't have another job. They have that.
Yeah. But like their main occupation is acting. Mm-hmm. Do you want to say what you thought of it before I continue?
Sure. I thought it was pretty good. Like I said, we both went into this cold, so we never seen it.
Neither of us had ever seen it.
We hadn't seen it. I was I liked the kind of like the story about it was basically like talking about how I don't know, all these guys have kind of like this common thread of, for some reason they never really broke out. There's nothing in it that you're like, oh yeah, that I know that guy's name or whatever, and it was kind of trying to like dissect like really kind of it didn't really dissect like why it was like that, but it was just interesting that they all had that kind of common thread. And then you wonder, like, how many people out there are really trying to make it in Hollywood? It's just, like, crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I could dive into some more specifics, but I'm interested in what you thought of it.
I liked it a lot. I thought it was great. It's a side of the Hollywood kind of like acting. I don't want to say fame. It's a side of acting in Hollywood that you never really get to hear about. Because normally when you hear about acting, it seems really glamorous. These people are really rich and famous. And you know that there's people out there who are struggling. But I didn't realize the magnitude of how many people are actually trying to make it and how few people really become, enormously successful.
They said that it was 94% of the people in the Screen Actors Guild are unemployed at any
I thought it was higher than that. I thought it was 99.5.
Oh, was it?
Or are unemployed at any one time.
Jeez, man.
But in any case, I'm not sure which number is right or mine, yours or mine, but one of the numbers that stuck with me is they said, if you're going to be an actor in Hollywood, you need to be part of the Screen Actors Guild, right? Yeah. The Screen Actors Guild it's not easy to get into. It's not hard, but you have to be a working actor. You have to have a certain amount of jobs under your belt to become part of it. So there's probably a lot of actors who aren't even in the guild, first and foremost. But there are 240,000 actors as of the time of the documentary was made that are working in Hollywood, are part of the Screen Actors Guild. And out of that 240,000, they said there was only about 100 that are actually famous, really making a lot of money. Like those are your Tom Cruises, your Robert Downey Jr.'s, and who are enormously successful. And everyone else is just like struggling.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. So I lived in LA for a year.
Yeah,
and I got a taste of that lifestyle when I started to work at the Apple Store in LA. I worked at the Grove Apple Store, which is like the Beverly Hills Apple Store, and it's like this kind of fancy shopping center where all the kind of rich people go. And that's when I first got my taste of that kind of like fakery, like people like with a lot of money, and everyone's kind of like schmoozing everyone to try to like get ahead in some way.
Everyone's trying to get something from somebody.
Everyone's trying to get something from somebody.
Oh, that'd be awful.
And I was just kind of like totally naive. I was like 21,
Right.
Like, I'd lived here my whole life. I didn't know any of that stuff. And it was just like, wow, it really soured me on that part of LA. And I also, used to do performing and stuff. So like, I definitely related to the auditioning process that they were talking about. How like all of them thought it was like the worst thing in the world and very like dehumanizing. And you'd have to go in there. They're talking about like basically you'd have to go into a room with like two people, like, and do like this whole scene, and you'd have to just like make up things like where you're not riffing off anybody, you're just like
you're just like, to go in there and wow them.
You just try to do something, and there's like I know exactly what that's like, I don't know. I thought that part was interesting. I wrote a few notes. Let me see what I said. So I thought one interesting thing about these guys, since none of them really have like a big, name to them or anything like that, it seemed like one constant thread was most of them didn't have very encouraging parents. Did you notice that? Like, a lot of them were just kind of like, oh, my dad like wanted to kill me when I said I wanted to be an actor, or he laughed at me and stuff like that. And it's like, I wonder if the bigger name actors had that going for them, or if they had encouraging parents, or if they had less encouraging parents. Like what is the thread that makes you kind of like fight to be like the next Tom Cruise, the next Robert Downey Jr., Because like, or is it like a lot of luck, or what is it, right?
I think it's probably both. I would love to say those with the most talent get ahead, but I think there's more to it than that. I just
there's a lot of factors.
I mean, it's not just how much talent you have; it's you knowing what your talent is and what your talent is not. I think is really important because like you'll see those auditions for like America's Got Talent, and these people who are terrible singers.
Yeah.
Think that if they try hard enough, they can make it. And it's like, for some people, no matter how hard you try, that is just not something you're ever going to be good at. Some people have more talent than others.
Yeah.
And you could work really hard, but you're never going to be Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that to be discouraging, but I mean, some people just don't have certain talents for certain things.
I think that like this day and age too, especially like on YouTube and stuff, people are very like overly encouraging. Because some people think that they're really, really, really good, and it's just like, you're not as good as you think you are because people just are being nice to you on the internet.
Especially if you're a pretty girl.
Yeah, especially
who's between the ages of like 14 and 20.
Yeah, man, and yeah, I think that kind of like that puts a little bit of a twist on this whole. You know, you could probably be famous on YouTube, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be like a famous actress in Hollywood, you know?
That reminds me of a YouTuber named Shane Dawson. Do you know who he is? Yeah. Really, really popular. Makes like videos on YouTube that are pretty funny.
Right.
And he has millions of subscribers. I mean, millions. And he's not doing Hollywood acting. I mean, I think he's even tried to be in a few things, but like, he's so quirky and so different that really his niche is in the YouTube market, and Hollywood like doesn't know what to do with him.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I was trying to go on like a certain train of thought with that, but now I totally lost my train of thought.
I think the other thing that was really surprising to me, this documentary made the feeling of trying to be an actor just feel so disgusting. Like, why would anyone want to like? My idea of trying to be an actor was so different than hearing like these guys talk about what it's really like. I was just like, oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
It just sounds awful. Like, you're always on a high, you're always on a low. Everyone's trying to like get something from somebody. People are lying to you.
Your friends aren't really like your friends.
Your friends aren't your friends, and everyone's jealous of each other. And
part I didn't like. The part where it was like Gore Vidal quote.
Yeah.
Every time somebody I know succeeds, a little part of me dies.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck that, dude. Like,
I don't think that's the way that we should live, but I think that there is definitely a tendency for people to do that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, especially if they're trying for the same thing that you're trying for and you have great success.
Yeah.
And maybe you're less talented than they are.
Sure.
You know, or they're less talented than you, but they're finding success and you're not.
I think we're all guilty of, like, having that sort of jealousy towards another person, but it's like, that's why we can, you know, we're human, we can rise above that sort of thing.
I agree.
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
I think that's definitely true. But the other thing was how little money these guys were making or seemed to be making. Like, these guys they're interviewing, like, these are guys you've seen in really popular shows like 24 and Alias and popular movies, and you would just think that they were going to have millions of dollars. And these guys are being interviewed in their own homes, and they're not dressed particularly well.
Yeah.
Their houses don't really seem all that nice.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, that would be awful. Like, if you were an actor and you had sporadic work and you're in a very popular show. Let's say you were in The Office. And this is actually kind of based loosely on a true story. I heard some stories of people who were in The Office season 1. And some of the actors on that show had to keep their day jobs.
Oh, really?
Because The Office paid them nothing when it started.
I believe it.
And you really don't get paid well as an actor until you have an established show that, you know, is doing really well. Then you can start getting more money. So people would see you acting in a popular television show, and then you'd be serving them their soup on the weekends, and they're like, "Aren't you on a television show?
Yeah.
Like, you're working here? How crazy is that?"
I know a few people like in my Facebook friends that are Hollywood, you know, trying to make it in Hollywood and stuff like that. But like these people are like, I don't know if they're that good, but these people are like actually good actors, and they're still living that way, you know? Like they have to like borrow money from people and all that kind of stuff. Like, like, I'm 30 and those people are like in their 40s or 50s or 60s, like, and they're doing that shit. Like, fuck that, dude.
Wow.
Like, I would never want to be in that position to, like, I don't know, I would just feel like I was letting my family down if I was that much of a schmo where I couldn't make it on my own and like have my own thing going by that point.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
It would be really tough. It would be really tough to do that. And people were like, "Oh, follow your dream, follow your dream." And I think that's great. I think you should follow your dream. But at a certain point, I don't know when that point is. It's probably different for everyone. You have to say, this isn't working.
Yeah, man.
You know, like, this is not working, and there's got to be a reason it's not working. You either need to change it or go do something else. Like, you cannot be 50 years old, you know, living off unemployment with a family, if you have a family, and trying to make it as an actor in Hollywood.
It's like, sure, there's examples of people doing that. Like, Rodney Dangerfield didn't actually get famous until he was, like, 50-something.
Really?
Yeah.
Or Bryan Cranston. was like 39 before he got famous.
Yeah, man.
So
there are examples of it.
There are, yeah.
Man, I wouldn't want to do that kind of living.
And then look how famous Bryan Cranston got right after that. He hit a Malcolm in the Middle, which I never actually really liked that show.
Yeah, but freaking Breaking Bad's amazing.
And then Breaking Bad, and then that just launched him.
Yeah.
Now he's just like A-list actor. He's such a good actor too. There's probably a lot of good actors out there. There was a guy I went to high school with. One of the best guitar players. I mean, even in middle school, this guy was an amazing guitar player. I mean, knew every Led Zeppelin song, could play them all. Never got famous. Why? Because he was only really good, this is my opinion, at playing other people's music. Mm-hmm. But he was never really good at writing his own, at least any that I heard. And I remember seeing, I think we actually talked about this once before. I went and saw him once, and he did like this Dave Matthews Band show. And he had like the violin player and everyone, and they sounded incredible. And I walked away and I was like, that's really awesome. But the sad part is like, we already have a Dave Matthews.
Yeah.
It's like you have to kind of figure out your own path and do something original, I think, to really make it.
I agree.
Otherwise, you're going to be a working actor.
But you guys should see it. It's really interesting. We won't give away the whole thing, but
yeah, if you haven't already watched it, I definitely think it's worth. It's only an hour and 20 minutes. It's definitely worth watching once.
I was like, who the hell is that guy? Who's that guy? And he was, she's not your mother. What is it? She's not my mother, Todd. It was Todd from,
right.
The stepdad from T2.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, he's just like, sometimes you got to take a job to pay your kid's tuition, right? Yeah. Oh.
Let's move on.
Oh, that would be tough. Okay. That thing that guy was in.
No, that guy who was in that thing.
The guy was in that thing, as you will eventually say sometime in your life. So let's wrap up with this.
This is a little funny thing.
Let me open up my camera here. So
I found this blog, and this has everything to do with what we were talking about from WWDC. People are kind of here on the griping side or the positive side about the new design for iOS. So this is Jony Ive redesigns things.tumblr.com. So the new Nike symbol.
Well, you know the funny thing is,
everything's
actually
flat.
that mini thing actually looks pretty good.
Yeah.
The BMW thing looks like crap.
Think different.
Think different, LSD.
Ah.
The hell is that?
Oh, Steve Jobs' reaction to iOS. What is that? Game of Thrones.
There we go. That's actually pretty
Everything
funny.
is basically like rainbowy and
it reminds me of a Coldplay album. It really does remind me of a Coldplay album.
I do get that. The Beatles.
Google Glass.
So you guys should check this out. It's kind of funny. Basically taking everything and making it flat. Oh, NBC, they didn't have to change anything.
They just made the colors a little different. You know, the funny thing is, and we talked about this last show, is that McDonald's? Did I just pass McDonald's? Yeah, I don't know. That's the one thing about the design that I'm really not keen on at the moment is the fonts. It reminds me of the Windows Phone fonts.
I agree.
I really don't like it.
The thin font, I keep hearing too hard to read, and I kind of agree with that.
I just think it just looks sophomore design school-ish. I just don't like that thin font. I think there's a lot of other parts of it that I actually do like. Mm-hmm. Hi, we're recording a podcast. Do you mind? Yeah, I know you're excited.
I think we're done.
We're done. Get off the couch for just a moment.
All right.
So let's wrap it up there.
Cool. So if the folks want to see you on the internet, find you on the internet, what can do?
I'm at Erfon, ERFON. Of course, if you haven't heard the Cultcast, just go to thecultcast.com and you can check out our All Things Apple podcast there. What about you?
You can find me on Twitter at Roberto Hoyos, RobertoHoyos, and also throwboy.com for the pillows. You can find our show in a multitude of places.
Multitude.
You can find us on iTunes. Just search user friendly, and we'll be right there at the top.
And audio and video.
And youtube.com/user friendly show, and facebook.com/user friendly show.
Ah, right. And I think also twitter.com forward slash.
Friendly.
Everything's / all right. Well, until next week.
Keep it sleazy.
Keep it sleazy. on the next time.